Hello everyone, my name is Ali and I am the Stats Consultant at GRC, the Graduate Resource Center, which is part of the University of New Mexico. So this is going to be the first in a series of basic stats tutorial videos offered by the GRC. And in this video, we're going to take a look at some of the very basic concepts in statistics, which are mean, median, mode, and how to calculate them, and also to calculate the standard deviation of a given sample. So calculating the mean, median, mode, and standard deviation will be probably one of the basic things that you start off with in statistics. So in order to calculate any of these, we first of all need a sample. So let's think of a set of numbers which will serve as our sample for this example. Let's assign some numbers to the set. So this is a set of 5 observations which will serve as our sample for this example. Let's suppose that this is a set of scores for a particular individual, a set of test scores. So in order to calculate the mean, first of all, let's talk a little bit about what the mean is. Mean is simply the average of a given sample. So whenever someone asks you, tells you to calculate the mean, what they are asking for is the average of a set of numbers which are part of the sample. So in order to do this, we will add up all of these numbers which form our sample, and we're going to divide this by the total number of observations in the sample, which in our case is 5. So what we end up with is 2 plus 1, 3, 6, and 8. 8 divided by 5, which gives us the final answer of 1.6. So 1.6 is the mean of this sample, which means that on average, this particular individual scores 1.6 on any given test. So when we come to the median of the sample, the median is simply the center number of a given sample. So in order to find out the center number, we first need to organize all of these observations in the sample in an ascending order. So let's do that. So we have 0, 1, 2, 2, and 3. So we can see that this is a set of 5 numbers, and the center number in our case is 2. So we can say that the median of this sample is equal to 2. So keep in mind that if there were 6 numbers instead of 5 numbers, we will have to take the average of the 2 center numbers. But in this case, we are fine with just choosing the center number because this is an odd. We have an odd number of set of observations. So the next thing that we have to do is calculate the mode. So mode is the most repeated number in a given sample. So if you look at our sample and the numbers in the sample, we have 0, 1, 2, 2, and 3. So all the numbers are contained in the sample only once, except for the number 2, which is repeated twice. And that makes it the most repeated number in our sample of test scores. So this means that our mode is also equal to 2. So mode, like I mentioned, is the most repeated number, median is the central score, and mean is the average score. So with all of these calculated, now we'll move on to the calculation of standard deviation. So before moving on to calculating the standard deviation of the sample, I also wanted to show you how the formal notation of the calculation of mean would look like. So there will be summation of x, which means that x is all these numbers in the sample, divided by n, which is the total number of observations, which in our case was 5. So let's look at the formula for standard deviation. So the formula for standard deviation looks a little bit funky. If you haven't seen this before, you might get a little bit anxious as to what this is. So this is the formula. X is all these observations in the sample. X bar is simply your mean, which we have already calculated. It's 1.6. And n is the total number of observations. And then whatever we get after calculating this, we have to do a square root of that number. So let's break down all these individual components of the standard deviation formula and see how we can calculate it. So X, I'm going to make 4 or 5 columns over here, which will make the calculation of standard deviation easier. So we're going to simply write down what our x's are in this case, which are, actually let me use a different color to make it easier. Our x's are 2, 1, 0, 3, and 2. Our x bar will be the same for all of these observations, which is 1.6. So our x minus x bar, meaning this number minus this number, will be 0.4 minus 0.6 minus 1.6, 1.4, and 0.4. So now that we have calculated our x minus x bars, we're going to go ahead and calculate the x minus x bar whole squares. So you're going to simply just square all these terms in this column. So the square of 0.4 is 0.16. The square of 0.6 is negative 0.6 is 0.36. The square of negative 1.6 is 2.56. The square of 1.4 is 1.96, and the square of 0.4 is 0.16. So the next step is to add all of these numbers up, because there's a summation sign over here, and we're going to do that. So our summation x minus x bar whole square comes out to be, when we add all of these numbers, it comes out to be 5.2. So after this, we need to divide this number by n. If we do this, so n in our case remains the same, 5, which is the total number of observations. We get 1.04. So the final step is to take the square root of this number, 1.04, which we can do. And this comes out to be 1.02, which is our standard deviation, which is our measure of spread, and can also be thought of as the average distance from the mean, which is 1.6. This concludes our video for the tutorial of calculation of mean, mode, median, and standard deviation. Thanks a lot for watching this video. We'll hopefully be coming up with more videos in the future. In order to know what's happening at GRC and to watch our new videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also join and like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching.